My wife wanted to open our marriage for her personal growth and I reluctantly agreed, but then I connected with someone who truly valued me. Now my wife is demanding we close the relationship and says I betrayed her by taking it too far. She's turned all our friends against me and even my own parents think I'm in the wrong. I never thought I'd be sharing my personal life with strangers on the internet, but here I am, desperately seeking perspective from people who aren't emotionally invested in my situation. The past 6 months have been a roller coaster of confusion, hurt, and unexpected discoveries, and I honestly don't know if I'm the one who's lost perspective here. I'm 34, and I've been married to my wife Olivia, 33, for 8 years. We met in our mid-20s through mutual friends, dated for 2 years, and had what I considered a strong, loving relationship before getting married. We don't have children, a mutual decision we made early in our marriage to focus on our careers and personal growth. I work in software development, and Olivia is a marketing executive for a growing company. For the first 6 years of our marriage, things were good, not perfect, but solid. We had our disagreements like any couple, but we generally communicated well and supported each other's goals and interests. We had an active social life with a close-knit group of friends, most of whom we'd known since before we got married. Our families got along well, and both sets of parents had been married for over 35 years, providing what I thought were strong models for our own relationship. About a year ago, Olivia began talking about feeling restless and unfulfilled in certain aspects of our relationship. At first, these conversations focused on wanting more excitement and new experiences together. We tried new hobbies, planned a couple of adventurous trips, and made efforts to break out of our routine. For a while, this seemed to help, and I thought we were addressing whatever was causing her restlessness. Then, 6 months ago, Olivia brought up the idea of opening our relationship. The conversation caught me completely off guard. We had never discussed non-monogamy before, and it had never been something either of us had expressed interest in. When I asked what prompted this, she explained that she'd been reading books and articles about ethical non-monogamy and polyamory, and had been having conversations with a colleague who was in an open marriage. According to Olivia, this arrangement could help us both grow as individuals while maintaining our primary commitment to each other. I'll be honest, my initial reaction was hurt and confusion. I wondered if this meant she wasn't attracted to me anymore, if I wasn't enough for her, or if there was already someone specific she was interested in. Olivia assured me this wasn't the case. She insisted she still loved me deeply and was committed to our marriage, but felt that exploring connections with others would help her personal growth and might even strengthen our relationship. For several weeks, we had intense discussions about what this would mean for us. I did my own research, reading books she recommended and joining online forums about ethical non-monogamy. I had serious reservations, but Olivia was persistent. She described feeling constrained by monogamy and suggested that my hesitation stemmed from societal conditioning and insecurity rather than what would actually be best for our relationship. After much consideration and many emotional conversations, I reluctantly agreed to try an open arrangement, with specific boundaries and agreements. We would be completely transparent about any connections with others, maintain our marriage as the primary relationship, and check in regularly about how we were feeling. We also agreed that either of us could request to close the relationship again if it wasn't working. For the first month after opening our marriage, nothing much changed. Olivia went on a few casual dates, mainly with people she met through dating apps, while I focused on processing my feelings about the situation. I wasn't actively looking to meet anyone myself, still adjusting to this new dynamic and working through my discomfort with the arrangement. Then I met Rachel. It wasn't through a dating app or any deliberate effort to find a connection. She was a new hire at my company, working in a different department. We met during a cross-team project and immediately clicked intellectually. For weeks, our interaction was purely professional and friendly. I mentioned to Olivia that I'd made a new friend at work, being completely transparent as we'd agreed. As Rachel and I got to know each other better, I found myself enjoying our conversations more and more. She was thoughtful, kind, and genuinely interested in my thoughts and feelings. There was a mutual respect that felt refreshing and affirming. About 2 months into our open arrangement, Rachel and I had lunch together, and I mentioned that my wife and I were in an open relationship. She was surprised but not judgmental, and admitted she'd felt a connection between us but had respected the boundaries of what she thought was a traditional marriage. From there, Rachel and I began spending more time together outside of work. I was completely transparent with Olivia about this developing relationship, sharing details about our conversations and activities. Olivia seemed supportive, even pleased that I was finally embracing the opportunity for growth that our open arrangement provided. What I didn't expect was how my connection with Rachel would highlight certain deficiencies in my marriage that I'd either ignored or normalized over the years. With Rachel, I felt truly heard and valued. She asked questions about my interests, remembered details about stories I'd shared, and encouraged my long-abandoned creative pursuits. In contrast, I began to notice how often Olivia dismissed my input, interrupted me during conversations, or showed disinterest in things that mattered to me. 3 months into our open arrangement, both Olivia and I had developed connections with other people. She had been seeing a man named Jason fairly regularly, and I was continuing to grow closer to Rachel. We were following all the rules we'd established, being transparent, maintaining our scheduled time together, and having regular check-ins about how we were feeling. During one of these check-ins, I honestly shared that while I had initially been reluctant about opening our relationship, I was finding value in my connection with Rachel. I told Olivia that this experience was helping me recognize patterns in our marriage that might need attention, like how we communicated and supported each other's interests. I thought this was exactly the kind of growth and self-discovery that Olivia had said was the purpose of opening our relationship. Her reaction stunned me. Instead of seeing this as a positive development or an opportunity for us both to improve our primary relationship, Olivia became defensive and upset. She accused me of comparing her unfavorably to Rachel and suggested I was taking the open relationship too far by developing emotional intimacy rather than just physical connections. This reaction confused me deeply. From all the reading we'd done together, emotional connections were considered a natural and often valuable part of ethical non-monogamy. Nowhere in our agreements had we specified that relationships should remain purely physical. In fact, Olivia herself had described her connection with Jason as intellectually stimulating and emotionally supportive. When I pointed this out, she claimed that my relationship with Rachel was different, more threatening to our marriage somehow. She couldn't articulate exactly why, but insisted that I was crossing a line. For the first time since opening our relationship, she brought up the possibility of closing it again, saying we needed to refocus on our marriage. I felt blindsided and, honestly, manipulated. It seemed like the rules were changing now that I was benefiting from the arrangement she had so persistently advocated for. Nevertheless, I agreed to discuss the possibility of closing our relationship, wanting to understand her sudden change of heart. Over the next few weeks, things deteriorated rapidly. Olivia became increasingly critical of my friendship with Rachel, scrutinizing our text messages, which I had always allowed her to see, per our transparency agreement, and finding problematic meanings in innocent exchanges. Meanwhile, she continued seeing Jason, explaining that she needed to properly end things rather than abruptly cutting contact. During this time, I maintained my connection with Rachel but was careful not to escalate the relationship, respecting that Olivia and I were in a period of reassessment. Rachel was understanding, though she admitted that her feelings for me had grown stronger. I was honest with her about the uncertainty in my marriage, not wanting to mislead her or make promises I couldn't keep. About a month into this tense period, everything exploded. I came home from work to find Olivia had been crying. She immediately launched into accusations that I was having an emotional affair with Rachel that was destroying our marriage. When I reminded her that our open relationship had been her idea and that I had followed all our agreements, she claimed that I had technically followed the rules but had violated the spirit of our arrangement by developing genuine feelings for someone else. This conversation quickly spiraled into the most heated argument of our marriage. Painful truths emerged. Olivia admitted she had primarily wanted to open our relationship to explore her own desires, assuming I wouldn't actually connect with anyone else due to my initial reluctance. She had expected me to remain essentially monogamous to her while she experienced new connections. When I found a meaningful relationship with Rachel, it triggered insecurities she hadn't anticipated. I was devastated by this revelation. For months, I had worked through my own discomfort and insecurity to support what I thought was her genuine belief in ethical non-monogamy as a path for mutual growth. Finding out that she had never expected or wanted me to fully participate felt like a profound betrayal of trust. In the aftermath of this argument, Olivia did something I never expected. She began telling our friends and family her version of events. According to messages and calls I received, she was describing the situation as me having an affair with a colleague, conveniently admitting that we had agreed to an open relationship at her insistence. She portrayed herself as the blindsided, betrayed spouse and me as the unfaithful husband who had fallen for a younger woman at work. Rachel is 31, hardly the dramatic age gap this description implied. Our friends, most of whom had known us as a couple and had stronger individual relationships with Olivia, largely took her side. I received messages expressing disappointment in me, urging me to come to my senses and recommit to my marriage. Even more shocking was the call from my parents, who had always been supportive of me in all aspects of my life. My mother was in tears, asking how I could do this to my wife, while my father expressed his disappointment in my character. I tried to explain the full context to those who would listen, but found myself in the impossible position of either accepting blame for a false narrative or sharing intimate details of our marital arrangement that many in our traditional social circle would find difficult to understand. Most people had already formed their opinions based on Olivia's story and weren't particularly interested in my excuses. Feeling isolated and gaslit, I moved out of our shared home and into a temporary apartment 3 weeks ago. Olivia has since oscillated between anger, demanding I cut all contact with Rachel immediately, and reconciliation attempts, suggesting couples therapy and a fresh start. Through all of this, she has maintained her relationship with Jason, explaining that it's different because she can compartmentalize her emotions in a way I apparently cannot. Rachel has been supportive but understandably cautious, not wanting to be the reason for my marriage ending but also expressing that she cares deeply for me and sees potential for a genuine partnership. I've been careful not to make any promises or commitments while in this state of limbo, though I can't deny the contrast between how valued I feel with Rachel versus the manipulation I've experienced with Olivia. As I write this, I'm at a crossroads. Part of me thinks I should try to save my 8-year marriage, working through this difficult period in therapy and giving Olivia another chance. We have history, shared experiences, and had what I thought was a solid foundation before this crisis. Walking away feels like giving up on something that was once very important to me. Yet another part of me wonders if this situation has revealed fundamental incompatibilities and patterns of manipulation that have been present all along. Olivia's willingness to twist the narrative to our friends and family, making me the villain in a story she orchestrated, has broken something essential in my trust for her. I find myself questioning whether the relationship I valued for 8 years was built on mutual respect and honesty, or if I've been compromising my own needs and accepting less than I deserve. The hypocrisy is what I struggle with most. Olivia actively pursued opening our relationship, assured me it was about mutual growth and exploration, but then felt threatened when I actually grew from the experience. She continues her outside relationship while demanding I end mine, and has turned our social circle against me for participating in an arrangement she initiated. So here I am, reaching out to strangers because the people who know me are now seeing me through the distorted lens Olivia has created. Am I missing something here? Am I the one who misunderstood the nature of our agreement? Is it reasonable for Olivia to change the rules when the outcome wasn't what she expected? And most importantly, after everything that's happened, is there anything left of my marriage worth saving? Update 1. It's been just over 2 months since my original post, and the clarity I've gained in this time has been both painful and liberating. First, thank you to everyone who commented with insights, personal experiences, and supportive words. Reading through your responses helped me see my situation more objectively and gave me courage during some difficult decisions. After posting here, I took some time to really reflect on my marriage, looking back not just at the recent conflict but at patterns throughout our relationship. This reflection, combined with individual therapy sessions, led me to recognize that the issues in our marriage went much deeper than the open relationship experiment. With this clarity, I decided to move forward with divorce proceedings. This wasn't a decision I made lightly or in reaction to any single event, but rather the culmination of recognizing several troubling patterns. First, the consistent double standards. Throughout our marriage, there had been numerous instances where Olivia's needs and desires took precedence over mine, often without explicit acknowledgement. From major decisions like relocating for her career opportunities, while mine were considered secondary, to smaller everyday choices like social plans and household responsibilities, there was an unspoken expectation that my preferences would yield to hers. Second, the manipulation of narratives. The way Olivia reframed our open relationship situation to friends and family wasn't an isolated incident but rather part of a larger pattern. Looking back, I could identify many times when my perspectives or concerns were subtly twisted to make me appear unreasonable, overly sensitive, or selfish. This gaslighting had been so gradual that I hadn't recognized it for what it was. Third, and perhaps most importantly, the fundamental lack of respect for my autonomy and growth. The open relationship situation revealed this most clearly. Olivia wanted the freedom to explore her own desires while expecting me to remain essentially static, providing the stability and security she needed while she found herself. When I actually began to grow and discover my own needs through this experience, it threatened the comfortable dynamic she had established. Once I made the decision to divorce, I knew I needed to regain control of my own narrative. I drafted a simple, factual email that I sent to our closest friends and family members. I didn't share every intimate detail, but I clarified that our separation came after months of attempting to navigate an open relationship that Olivia had initiated, and that the characterization of me having an affair was fundamentally inaccurate. I explained that I was not asking people to take sides, but merely wanted to correct misinformation that had been shared. The responses were mixed. Some friends apologized for making assumptions, while others maintained their support for Olivia. My parents, after an initially difficult conversation, came to understand the fuller picture and expressed regret for their reaction. Some relationships may be permanently changed, but I've found peace in knowing that those who truly care about me are willing to hear my perspective rather than accepting a single version of events. As for Rachel, we've continued to develop our relationship, though we're moving carefully. After I moved into my own apartment and filed for divorce, we had an honest conversation about expectations and timing. We both acknowledged that beginning a serious relationship while I'm still processing the end of my marriage comes with complications. She's been patient and supportive, giving me space when I need it while also showing me what a balanced, mutually respectful partnership can look like. The contrast between my interactions with Rachel and what I now recognize as unhealthy patterns with Olivia has been eye-opening. Simple things like having my opinions valued, my boundaries respected, and my emotions validated feel surprisingly novel. I'm learning to trust my own perceptions again and to express my needs without anticipating manipulation or dismissal. Olivia's reaction to the divorce filing was predictably volatile. Initially, there was anger and blame, accusations that I was throwing away our marriage for a fling. When that didn't sway me, she shifted to remorse and promises to change, suggesting couples counseling and even offering to maintain an open relationship with clearer boundaries. Finally, when it became clear that I was resolute, she became coldly practical, focusing on the division of assets and financial arrangements. Throughout these phases, she has maintained her relationship with Jason, which has made her shifting positions on our open arrangement all the more transparent. When I pointed out this inconsistency during a discussion about divorce terms, she simply stated that her situation with Jason was different without further explanation. This reinforced my confidence in my decision to end the marriage. The divorce process itself has been relatively straightforward so far. We don't have children, and our financial entanglements, while requiring careful unwinding, aren't extraordinarily complex. We've each retained attorneys but are attempting to reach agreements without extensive litigation. There have been tense moments and disagreements over specific items, but nothing insurmountable. What's been most difficult is the social aftermath. Despite my clarifying email, some friends have taken firm sides. Group events have become awkward, with organizers unsure whether to invite both of us and mutual friends sometimes feeling forced to choose. I've lost some friendships that I valued, which has been painful, but I've also been surprised by unexpected support from acquaintances who have stepped up to become true friends during this difficult time. More encouraging has been the strengthening of relationships with friends who are exclusively mine rather than ours, people I had somewhat neglected during my marriage. Reconnecting with them has helped me rediscover aspects of myself that had become subdued during my years with Olivia. I've resumed old hobbies, explored new interests, and slowly begun rebuilding a social life that reflects my authentic self rather than half of a coupled identity. My relationship with Rachel continues to be a source of joy and growth. We've had our challenges, navigating the complications of working for the same company while dating, defining our relationship boundaries during my divorce process, and managing the occasional judgment from people who don't know the full story. But these challenges have been met with honest communication and mutual respect, reinforcing that healthy relationships don't have to be fraught with manipulation and double standards. There's a particular insight I've gained that might be helpful to others in similar situations. When relationships end, especially long-term marriages, there's often an expectation that you should fight to save them at all costs. Marriage takes work is the common refrain. What I've learned is that while relationships do require effort, that effort should come from both partners and should build something healthy and mutually fulfilling. When the work consists primarily of one person compromising their needs, accepting double standards, or tolerating manipulation, it's not saving a relationship, it's sacrificing yourself. I won't pretend the past 2 months have been easy. There have been moments of doubt, nights spent questioning my decisions, and times when the familiarity of my marriage seemed preferable to the uncertainty of starting over. But these moments have become less frequent as I've regained confidence in my own perceptions and established boundaries that protect my well-being. As I move forward, I'm approaching life with cautious optimism. The divorce will likely be finalized within a few months, creating a clean legal break from a relationship that had become unhealthy. My career remains stable, providing financial security and professional fulfillment. My relationship with Rachel continues to develop naturally, without the pressure of replacing what was lost or filling an emotional void. Most importantly, I'm rediscovering myself, not as someone's husband or partner, but as an individual with valid needs, perspectives, and boundaries. This rediscovery has been the unexpected gift of this painful experience, a reminder that even when relationships end, personal growth continues. For those who might find themselves in similar situations, questioning your perceptions in the face of manipulation, feeling pressured to accept double standards, or sensing that the rules in your relationship only apply to you, trust yourself. Your experiences and feelings are valid, even when others try to convince you otherwise. Sometimes the bravest decision isn't fighting to save a relationship that's hurting you, but having the courage to walk away towards something healthier, even when that path is uncertain. Thank you again to everyone who offered support and perspective when I needed it most. Your words helped guide me through one of the most difficult periods of my life towards something more authentic and, ultimately, more fulfilling.